But we know the scripture speaks of Iran, Persia and Afghanistan. In Ezekiel 38 it speaks of Rosh, allied with the utmost parts, coming out of the utmost parts of the north, Russia of course, allied with Persia, which is Iran. Later on we'll talk about Ethiopia and Libya, if we've got time hopefully. But Russia in 2015, exactly the date the scripture predicted, moved into the Middle East. They moved into the area of Syria, now built a little port, there it is, that they use. There is the port at Latakia, which they have built for their purposes. Well, the port was there before, but they've expanded it like that. And now they've got their chief base, military base, 85 kilometres from the borders of Israel. Think of it. And they're now flying January this year, bombers with Syria along the Golan Heights. Scary, isn't it? Clear message to Israel, look out. During the Gaza war, they said, if you kill any more Palestinians, those people in the Gaza, we will go to war with you, said Israel. Putin told Netanyahu Russia could declare war on Israel in the middle of the Palestinian row if it continues. He said that not once but twice. Israel's got the message, and we know the scripture states that's exactly what he will do ultimately. But now, remember that image? The first part, silver, speaks of the Persian Empire. The next, the Grecian. Okay, there's the maps of them. But look, there was a country that was missing. Not anymore. Afghanistan. America pulled out. Immediately they pulled out. The Taliban got on their planes and flew up to see Moscow. They went up to see Russia and allied themselves, shaking hands with them. And now it's part of that territory which we know as part of the empire that ultimately must stand. So things are dramatic. What about Persia? What about Iran? Same area. The new leader, the butcher of Tehran, a mass murderer. Look what he's done. Cranes and the hanging people who don't do what he wants. He came to power about 6 months ago. Brutal. And look what he's done. Immediately he came to power, he made a little flight up there to Moscow. Shook hands again with the Russians. Allied with them. There he is. Together. And so we can see the alliance being formed before our eyes. It's dramatic, brethren and sisters. But you know, he's done something very dramatic. He's finished the building of a pipeline from where they get their oil and load aboard ships and sail them out here. He's made a pipeline here. Only costs 1.1 billion and runs 1,000 kilometres and doesn't use the Persian Gulf. In other words, he can close the Persian Gulf off in a blink if he wants to and still get Iran's oil out to sea. But you know what's happening? Now there's the 8th round of discussion. And America's getting concerned too. And Israel is saying we're going to have to act because they're building nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. It's only months away. And they're going to have to act. Now look, when the date said, it's now only weeks away when Israel will have to act. You see, Russia's for a long time been building nuclear power stations and weapon sites where they're building uranium, plutonium, underground, that they might use nuclear weapons, and they've gone and built the missiles. And their prime aim is this: hit Israel. Hit Israel. The real threat of Iran. So the days are short. So what's the world doing? All of a sudden they're seeing things very, very concerned. And now, with Saudi Arabia, Israel, America, have come together and done the largest naval manoeuvre in the Middle East. It's going to last for 18 days. It's now underway. They've got their 50 ships, 60 nations involved in it. What are they trying to do? The ships are in the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, the Red Sea and Eastern Mediterranean surrounding Israel. They're really worried. A huge, the largest naval military manoeuvre in the Middle East. Staggering. Right now. But what did the Bible say? Well, our writer, Dr. Thomas, many years ago said this, and there we are, a few of those things. If you want to jot them down, you can have a look at it. He said there's going to be a major naval manoeuvre in the Persian Gulf. Whether it's now or later, we don't know. But we can see what Iran's going to try and do, cut Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates from exporting their oil. You know, Australia gets 84% of its oil out of the Persian Gulf. If the Persian Gulf stopped, they reckon we've got 4 weeks of oil. Well, that's what they said a couple of years ago. So I hope it's a little bit more than that now. But keep your cars filled up with petrol, because it might stop at any moment.